All right. Good evening. We're live. It's Wednesday night, and as always, I'm joined by Joe and Darryl. How you doing, gentlemen?
Good. I was quickly confused there for a second because as I look at the screen, I'm going, I don't have a guitar on the wall because if you see mine and then the background, there's a guitar. It's like, I don't know. Oh, never mind. I was confused. Not that I'm not dazed and confused most of the time anyway. So,
Fair enough. Well,
yeah.
I figured I would. Last week I put an image in the background there, just so it looked better than the stupid gray screen. But
No, I like it. Like I said, I just looked up and was trying to figure out what. Oh, yeah, never mind. It was one of those. Yeah.
I don't know if it's too busy. I don't know. We'll run with it for a little while and see what
I don't think
everybody
so.
says.
Mhm.
John, welcome.
Hello,
Chris,
John.
welcome.
Hello.
Richard, welcome. Welcome all.
Welcome
Darryl,
all.
how's things up in the freezing north today?
Oh man, it hasn't been too bad. Just I'm getting tired of the winter. Let's put it that
Amen.
way.
Yeah.
So
Can't wait till it all melts and goes away.
the weather here today, we haven't had snow in weeks, right?
I heard
So,
you guys had a shit ton of rain down there though.
fuck, man. No. So here's what happened today. Walking my son to school this morning at 8:30, and it's green grass. It's cold. It's -1 or whatever, but no snow. We had no snow for weeks, and there's no snow in the forecast. Freezing rain they're calling for. No problem. Take the son to school. Wife goes out to run errands. I'm working from home this morning because there's freezing rain coming. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stay home. Work from home. Came up at 11:30. I couldn't see across the street. It was a goddamn blizzard. We got 2 inches of snow that they didn't call for. And then it started to melt and then froze. So when I was picking my son up from school, and of course I had to drive to Tim Hortons because I can't help it. The roads were a nightmare. And now it's all started to melt and it's raining. So we went from green grass to blizzard to rain, and tomorrow is going to be 17 degrees.
Well, welcome to Canada, eh?
No shit, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
And listen to this smartass. It's 91 degrees today. Yeah, John,
Yeah.
we know.
That's
We
nice.
know.
That's nice. He's been out walking and talking a lot lately too. He had a couple of new videos up I saw.
He did. He had a video where he talked about Blue Rodeo's 5 days in July.
Yep.
Good video, but he didn't get the album. He didn't get it, which is fine. But it was an honest review. So
yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I know I saw it up there. I didn't watch it yet though. So
it was a good honest review. And John even said maybe I don't get it, and he doesn't get it. I guess someone else from Florida that commented it said, John, you don't get it, and that's fine. I don't get Billy Joel, so there you go.
There
But
you
it
go.
was. I'm glad you did it, John. I thought it was great. Darryl, Chris loved your game video. I was gonna say your video game, but your game video. I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna watch it in between shows tonight. So
I appreciate that, Chris.
Yeah.
In between. Well, we're gonna talk about what in between shows means in a minute.
Yeah.
Vaginal, how you doing? There's Trevor. Blake McLean, it's raining here in Fairbanks, like Fairbanks, Alaska. Wow. You win for most remote. That's more remote than Darryl, I think. Maybe more accessible, but further north.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get this out of the way. How about them Blue Jays? Have you guys been watching this?
A little bit, yeah.
Holy man, I think they won again this afternoon, did they not?
I didn't see today. Yeah.
Well, I missed the game because I was actually working for a living. Yeah. So we are now 5-2 to start the season. I'm not saying plan the parade because I'm not a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, but I don't know if we're hot or things are clicking or whatever's going on. But the first series we did a split with Baltimore, we 2-2. And I was concerned Scherzer only lasted 3 innings or 2.5 innings before his thumb. And I thought, well, there's $15 million down the toilet. Yeah. And then the bats were doing nothing. But, hey, it looks promising. We don't need to set the world on fire. We don't even need to win the division. But let's be in the hunt in September.
Rob,
160
last Wednesday, Rob, you were talking about how you were going to watch the home opener, the season opener.
Yeah.
And based on that score, I thought that you having this conversation this week, you'd be losing your mind right now.
Well,
that was bad.
I watched the season opener, and yeah, I was less than excited. I think would probably be a fair assessment. I was sitting there feeling pretty dejected, and I went, "Oh my God, this is what we got to watch for the next 162 games." But they came back the next game, so who knows? It's a
long season.
A long season, but I'll say what I said in spring training. I'm cautiously optimistic. One thing I will say, they keep saying, well, they're going to offer Guerrero another contract and it's going to be $500 million. Fuck him. Trade him. He's not worth $500 million because, 15 years or 10 years or whatever, he's not going to be healthy that long. And what's he done? He's had 1.5 good seasons. That's it. And he didn't do shit in spring training. He's done even less since the season started, unless I missed something miraculous today. Deal Vladdy, get something for him.
My other question for you, Rob, I got another question for you. Speaking of sports, the next game, Montreal and the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen there? Based on that slap shot at the end of the game.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It might be ugly. I don't know.
Yeah, Chris, I got a ton of games. In fact, it's so excessive. I don't even know why I have them all.
So you're saying that your game habit is similar to your vinyl habit?
When you watch the video, you'll understand.
Okay.
Well, when 8 months out of the year it's minus frick-zillion where you live, you can only have so much sex. You got to have some board games.
Right. Exactly.
You can only do so many YouTube videos and be online so much, right?
Right. Sign Bo. Yes, I agree. Sign Bo. My only caveat with Bo is I still maintain he's a shitty shortstop. So if his defense starts to go to shit, they should not give him a choice and go, you're playing second. But he can hit most of the time. So I'm all right with sign Bo and get rid of Vladdy. So the Blue Jays are like American Pie. It's like pre-ejaculation, very excited, and you come up too quick. Well, we're not getting too excited because it's still a very, 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 very long season. So
if you're a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, that's like American Pie.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Sam, how you doing?
Hey, Sam.
That record I said I'm going to show, Sam, it's the second record I'm going to show. So stick around for a few minutes. Look who's here. Jason Arsenault.
All right.
Boy.
Jason.
We got a couple alumni here. This is great.
Yeah.
So what's new in the world? How's the store, Joe? Keeping busy? I saw a few store videos.
Yeah, store's good. Did a big long one. It wasn't the one that you were hoping for where I spelled spring with albums. I spelled spring, but it was different stuff. So
right, I saw that one.
Because I know you love those videos. But
Hate
anyway.
them.
And yeah, it's good. I was not in today, but I can check and see what sells. And it was still a pretty decent day. We're still doing pretty decent on a regular basis.
Good.
And that collection, although it's not getting picked through, but some of the big names, the big guns, I guess, for lack of the proper term, in my opinion, I have no idea, obviously, what people are looking for, though. That's starting to get picked over a little bit. But there is still a ton of great stuff to choose from. There's still a ton of great stuff to choose from the stuff that we had in stock as well. So, yeah, it's good. And then I got a bunch of pre-ordered stuff coming in. The new Charlie Crockett, a bunch of people ordered that. The new Tracy Chapman, not the new Tracy Chapman, the finally reissued, because it never was, the solo album. Or the debut album, pardon me. So that's been reissued. That's on its way as well. And yeah, so it's good. We're not doing anything record store day. I see there's a bunch of the stores are starting to put their, hey, we're starting to get some stuff in out there and things like that. But it's just not going to work for us. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. And if there's some record store day stuff left over after, we can order it and we can do it that way too. So yeah.
Cool. Do you want to give a quick plug for what's going on later this evening?
Sure, yeah. I talked about it last week, and then there was an issue, and I decided not to do it. But coming up at 9 Central, which will be 11 Eastern, basically after we're done, the next top of the hour. Because sometimes
an hour after we're finished. Roughly.
Yeah, the top of the hour after we're finished. So it's going to be, and I've even given it a name now. It's Racer Records Track Test. Track for Racer and track for Tracks on a Record. And it's just going to be a game show. I've got 3 contestants lined up and a bunch of questions and some fun. We've got a sponsor, and I built an intro for it and a whole 9 yards.
Holy shit, Joe.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things. I might have probably done too much because I gave myself too much time to think about it, and I just kept adding stuff to it as I went along. But you're gonna need a producer next time I do it. But anyway, it's going to be fun. It'll be the top of the hour following when we're done. Everybody's welcome to come and join. It'll be on my channel. Come and join and be in the comment section in that. Just the 3 contestants for now. And then I'm not sure, probably not every week. That's going to be overkill. But if it goes over, because it'll be recorded and hopefully some will watch after, maybe every couple of weeks. And then we'll see if the returning champion wants to come back. We'll make it. We'll see if we can get a Ken Jennings or something like that. Anyway.
There you go.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I hope it'll be fun. I know the contestants are good guys. And one lady as well. So it's
I can tell you based on your contestant list, because I know who it is. I can tell you who's not going to be the Ken Jennings. So
yeah,
people will have to tune in to find out who that poor sucker is.
Yeah. So that'll be later. Looking forward to it.
Cool. Can't wait to see it. A couple things before we get to what's going on in Darryl's world yet. Chris, has my parcel arrived yet? I haven't checked. I haven't been to the mailbox this week yet because it's very far away, like 4 houses, which means I got to go around the corner. So I'll go there tomorrow. I haven't looked yet, but quite possibly. It usually takes 2 to 3 weeks from England to here. So we'll see. But trust me, as soon as it gets here, you'll know about it. And then Chris also says, Joe, enjoyed the video you did with the history of the On a Vinyl Company. Really good background story, and enjoyed it. So
yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
And Sam wants to know what I think about the anthology rumors. So for those that don't know, the internet has got a hard on in the last week or two that there may be, in fact, a deluxe anniversary reissue of the Beatles anthology. What do I think about that? I really hope it happens. However, when I say I really hope it happens, make it worth our while. Just don't remaster it for the sake of remastering and putting it out and then putting Now and Then on volume 3. That's horseshit. I mean, it's kind of what they did with the Red and the Blue albums. Stupid. There's still stuff in the vaults, right? So what they have done, it's been confirmed. They've taken Real Love and Free as a Bird, and they've used Peter Jackson's demixing technology to clean them up. So excited about that. Would love to hear how they sound. Now and Then absolutely belongs on volume 3. But there's still other stuff that could go on there. You know, Carnival of Light, which is the long forgotten, never heard Beatles sound collage, kind of like Revolution number 9. I want to hear it anyway. And there's still some other stuff. So and apparently they're going to they're going to add to the movie as well. It was like 6 or 8 volumes on DVD. Apparently they've added more to that too, allegedly. So if it comes out and they expand the documentary, I'll get that, and I would love to get the anthology vinyl if they add more stuff to it. I have my originals from 94, 95. So I hope so, Sam. I hope so, but I hope they make it worth our while and not a cash grab like they did with Red and Blue.
This kind of feels a little like when they brought the albums out, 6 months ago. There was a lot of low level rumor and murmurs and stuff like that. And it all wasn't just yesterday. It wasn't an April Fool's thing. So
right.
Likely a thing, because it's all the same people are talking about it that talked about that stuff coming out at the time, right? So, right. I think.
And I don't think you're going to go through the work of demixing and cleaning up Real Love and Free as a Bird if you're not going to do something with it. Right? So I hope so. We'll see.
It's just for Gilles Martin's MP3 player. That's it. It's the only place it is.
Right.
It's like the Wu-Tang Clan's one album that they put out.
Right.
That's all it is. Yeah. I like
Alex makes a good point. Pete Best needs the cash because he's charging $50 for an autograph.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sucks, man, that it was like that when you went to see him. That sucks. Alex, I did ask the other day the question of Rob, when you spend $200 to get a signed copy and you wanted cash. Jesus. Yeah, that's kind of nuts. Okay. Darryl, what's going on in your world? We're finally getting around to you. Sorry.
Not a whole lot. I took Monday off of work. I don't know what it was coming off the weekend. I was just like, you know what? I just need an extra day.
Sure.
So I took Monday off, and those of you that have been kind of paying attention to my channel, you'll notice that I put out a few videos here and there lately. I've had a little bit of spare time. Monday. Yeah, I just needed a mental health day, I guess you would call it, maybe. So I threw out some just made some videos and I've still got a crap ton of records to clean. And when you've only got a spin clean, because it's the only thing I can afford right now, like doing everything by hand takes forever.
Sure.
So it's taking some time. And sure. I'll let Joe deal with this later, but I have to place an order at some point.
Okay, we'll get around to that.
We'll get around to that. I got
a little something special for that when we get around to that. So Rob Walker, how you doing, sir? Welcome. Good evening.
Evening. So other than that, not too much. My wife's heading out on the train tomorrow. My son has one last hockey tournament. He's going to Sudbury for that one. And it's one of these tournaments where you're looking at the names of the teams that are in it, and they're all fucking sponsored. Every one of them. And so you know that when he gets there, like he's got good players on his team, but I think they're going to get their asses handed to them.
Well, you should take all your YouTube money and sponsor your son's team. And it could be Northern Vinyl guys, hockey people.
And on the front, exactly.
Yeah. That would require I have to click that extra little thing on there. Are you sponsored?
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of Rob Walker, have you finished putting all 26 of the albums that you pulled out and put away again?
Yeah, I put them away right the night after I filmed that video. So yeah, it wasn't. I actually pulled 27 because there's one album that I showed 2 different copies of. So.
That's right. That's true. Yes. Yeah.
That was a fun one.
I apologize, Rob. I'm not going to be able to do that one because I don't really have that many from the 2000s. Can't.
Just
find do that A to Z one.
Just find one, Darryl, and just come up with 26 different ways to make it work. Like, there's
I'll do my reissues of my Spain records. Just
there you go.
26
times. You could do it.
It'll be like when I did Alex's Prague vinyl tag last year, and the answer to every single question was "Cocky" by Kid Rock. Every single one.
That's right. Yeah.
So. All right. Well, our topic tonight, we did this, I don't know, a month and a half ago, something like that. We called it Connections, I think, where in that episode, I had picked a dozen records and emailed you guys beforehand so that you could each pull albums that are in some way connected or related or affiliated or, whatever to the ones that I pulled. And it was, I think all 3 of us agreed that was a pretty fun one to do. Hence the reason we're going to do it again, except this time Darryl took the lead and he's pulled some records, and Joe and I had to go through our collections and try and find ones that are connected. And I'm not going to lie, it's much harder trying to match up to other people's stuff than when you just pull the stuff yourself. Darryl had a couple that caused me some grief because I would say the bulk of Darryl's collection is vastly different than mine. So there's some stuff that it was a head scratcher. And in fact, one of them I didn't figure out a connection until about 20 minutes before we went live. So it was a fun challenge. So by the sounds of it though, you took this much more seriously than I did. And I'm not quite what we talked about. There's a couple of softballs in mine, but that's okay. I'm comfortable with that. So right, I didn't softball any of this. These are related like Arkansas cousins.
Right.
There you go.
So, yeah. What's Rob Walker saying here? He's put a playlist on his channel. So there you go with I assume all of the A to Z videos.
Yeah.
Those were a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing that. And it's been fun to watch everyone else's. What's this? Did I hear the news? I assume that's me. Did you hear news about Springsteen and Tracks 2? No. What's going on with that?
Nope, didn't hear that.
Huh. Enlighten us. I'm curious what the news was. All right. So obviously Darryl can go first because he's the one that picked the ones that we're going with. So take it away, Darryl.
All right. So basically the order of these records is kind of from the oldest to the newest, chronologically, I suppose you could say. Now, the reason that I chose this one as opposed to a different one is because I don't have an original of this, but I know Rob does.
Yes.
And it makes me jealous that you have that original. However, I went with second best, and they call this his memorial album. He is one of the three that died the day the music died, and that's Richie Valens' greatest hits. I've shown this on the show here Wednesday night before.
Yep.
Some of my favorite. It's not Chicano rock. I don't know. That's more like Tequila and the Champs and all that. But it's kind of that intro point, and it's hard to believe that he was 17 years old when he was making this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got two kids that are older than 17, and I can't imagine them coming up with this. I mean, I could, but they're just not into music that creatively. But I mean, La Bamba is a classic. Donna is a classic. Come On, Let's Go is a classic. I mean, what more can you say? I mean, a movie was made about the guy with Los Lobos making all the songs. So yeah, I will start with Richie Valens' memorial album because I do not have an original copy of the La Bamba album.
Do you want me to pull the original one just to rub salt in the wound?
Yeah, just to make it feel bad. Yeah.
Chris is asking what the topic is. Chris, if you're gonna watch, pay attention.
Yeah.
The topic is, and we've done it before, connections. So Darryl has pulled 12 records that he's emailed Joe and I ahead of time so that Joe and I can pull records that are in somehow related to the ones that he's pulled. So you'll see the connections here in a minute. So Connections Volume 2. Absolutely. Okay. Joe, do you want to go next?
Sure. Okay. All right.
Just don't pull the one that I'm going to pull.
Well, I've got 4, but I'll do them
4
quickly together. Yeah, I got 4.
Jesus,
just because I love putting records away. I love to put records away and pull them out. I pick things up and I put them down. My connection is going to be, there was a movie obviously made about Richie, which you alluded to earlier. So I'm going with other artists that have had a biopic done about them. And I'm going to start with the one that I watched 2 nights ago. I emailed Sam St. John this afternoon and I said, Sam, I'm sitting in my basement. I'm listening to Bob Dylan. I'm enjoying it and I'm singing along because I watched the Bob Dylan. Can you call it specifically the Bob Dylan biopic? It is, I guess, but with Pete Seeger in there and Joan Baez and all the other things. No spoilers, I don't imagine, but it was really good. Timothy Chalamet did a really good job. I have always said I appreciate Bob Dylan's songwriting, and I think, Rob, without getting into it too much, you do as well. It's the voice, it's the other parts. I've always said I love to hear a Bob Dylan song sung by somebody else. But
correct.
With that said, Chalamet did a really good job. Plus, again, the young lady that played Joan Baez was awesome. Edward Norton was Pete Seeger. He was really good. Scoot Neary? Anyway, he didn't really have to do a bunch for Woody, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So there's one biopic and the most recent that I watched. And then this gentleman, I watched the biopic about Bob a little while ago as well. And I don't bring out the reggae a whole bunch. I do really, really enjoy it, though. And again, another one that I actually listened to today and sang along. Not good singing, but I do enjoy singing along. This one, obviously, this gentleman had the biopic done about him. I guess I'm breaking a Mazzy rule, by leaving the covers on, but whatever. I don't give a rat's ass what he says. So
this is our world, not his.
And I don't think it makes a little bit of a difference. But anyway, this is obviously Elton John, Captain Fantastic. and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. Good album. Listen to that today. Wonderful booklet that comes along in that one. Taron Egerton did a fantastic job as Elton. And then, of course, there was obviously Bohemian Rhapsody about Freddie, Queen, Freddie, whatever you want to call it. Mostly Freddie, obviously. And this album doesn't get a lot of love, but I love Radio Gaga. It's one of my favorite Queen songs. I've always enjoyed that one. Yeah. So that's why I decided to show that one. So that's my connection to Richie, is others that have had biopics. And there's some other good ones. There's some other good ones coming out, including Springsteen and the guy, Jeremy Allen. Is it Jeremy Allen that's playing Bruce? Is going to be, I think, fantastic. The young guy from The Bear. I'm really looking forward to that. I hope they don't screw that up, and I don't think they will.
All right. You did not pull what I was going to pull, so this is good.
We're okay then. Good.
So just to remind everyone, we're talking about Richie Valens.
Yeah.
Is this the album you were talking about, Darryl?
That's the album I'm talking about.
Sorry, man. Okay, so this is probably the easiest connection, but I got to show Don McLean, who wrote the song American Pie, about the day the music died.
Yep.
I mean, doesn't get any simpler than that. First concert I ever attended in my life was Don McLean. He came to my hometown, played at our Performing Arts Center. I was in high school, and I went. I don't give a shit about Don McLean's music, but I love American Pie. I was always fascinated with that song, and I went just to see the song American Pie, and it was great. It was everything that I had hoped it would be. I was obsessed with that song in the days before the internet. So, what does this mean, right? And, you try and find things in the library about articles of people have written about what the hell's this song about, right? So, Don McLean, American Pie, the day the music died.
And having to figure out what a levee is. I didn't know what a levee was. When that song came out, I was around already. So it was like the Chevy to the levee. What the hell's the levee? Eventually I figured it out because again, I wasn't able to pick up my phone. I had to go and look in the Encyclopedia Britannica and find L and look through it.
I just always was fascinated by, it's a 9-minute song or whatever to begin with. And the lyrics are, they're almost like treasure hunt clues, right? Like they sort of make sense, but they sort of don't. Like, well, what's he trying to say? But there'd be lines about like, the jester on the sideline in a cast, and people are like, well, that's Bob Dylan after the motorcycle accident. Oh, okay. And I was fascinated with, what's he talking about? And the fact that he never ever came out and said, this is what I'm talking about, other than the fact that this is about the day the music died. So
it's funny. It's funny with Don McLean too, because he's like, if you were to ask the average music fan or even people that aren't music fans, hey, name a song by Don McLean, they're going to say American Pie. They're never going to say Vincent. And he's an example of an artist where there's one song that just overshadows everything about him. You probably do an entire Wednesday episode of musicians who one song. Yeah, they're not one-hit wonders, but basically they are.
Yeah, there's one song that defines their career and everything else is kind of overshadowed. Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep.
Okay. Just a couple comments here. Chris and the other half watched the new Bob Dylan film. It was okay. I'm quite happy with the band. Oh, that's good. Dylan sounds like a cheese grater, not a massive fan. Yeah, just to Joe's point, great songwriter. Can't stand to hear him sing. So Richard likes Queen.
Good album.
Yeah, going back to you, Joe, on that, like Radio Gaga is a great song. My favorite song by Queen is Bicycle Race. I don't know too many people that like that one either.
Yeah,
mine's Fat Bottom Girls.
Yeah, Jazz is a great album. That's the thing, because they're both on there. Plus, you get a cool poster. Yeah. But anyway, Queen can be certainly up and down for sure. But when they're up, it's really, really good. And that if there's a band that I could go back and see that if I had the chance to, original, like that 77 Montreal would have just been unbelievably good, I bet. So
absolutely. I'd be right there with you, Joe.
Yeah.
That or the Live Aid one.
Oh, yes, true. Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Chris, I'm glad to hear the new Darkness album is amazing. I can't wait. Mine is in transit, so It's been handed over to Canada Post, so it should be here in a matter of a few days.
I learned something new about Rob today in the darkness, and it has to do with teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Watch the video.
Watch the video to find out.
Justin Hawkins rides again. Again.
Yep. All right. Round 2. Darryl.
All right. Round 2. I figured it'd have to go with a little bit of British invasion on this list, but I didn't want to go obvious. I knew that if I went Beatles, that'd be too easy for you two. So what I did was I went with British invasion band that I remember from VH1. So not much music or any of those things, but the lead singer of this band had his own show on VH1 called My Generation, and it's what they call their second album, Herman's Hermits on Tour. I always get tongue twisted on that name, but Henry VIII, it's a fantastic song. I know it's just short. I don't even know if it's 2 minutes long, but I forget what else is on here. The End of the World, For Your Love. There's something else on here. I just can't remember what it is. Oh, Can't You Hear My Heartbeat? So yeah, I mean, this kind of brings me to my childhood. My dad used to watch Peter Noon and VH1 religiously, like every week. He watched every episode. It was kind of like I don't know if we want to call it the first showing 1960s music videos. I guess you could call it that. I mean, although they were live performances, but bands like the Turtles were on there, the Monkees were on there, Herman's Hermits, and a few others. So that's why I chose that one. I think they're a cool band, but I don't think they do much anymore. So, yeah.
Okay. What's your connection, Joe?
All right. There's a lot of bands out there like Pink Floyd, where it sounds like a name, but it's really not. And even in the song, which one's Pink, things like that. There's a few of those. Mine is going to be the connection is that, yeah, you said it. It was Peter Noon, right? But Herman was his nickname. So that's where Herman's Hermits comes from. So I went with another band that has a lead singer that has a nickname. There's a few of them out there, but I specifically went with The Police. And I'm not sure why I picked this album, but I picked this album because I like this album. But Sting, of course, Gordon Sumner, the real name. Sting, from what off the top of my head, from what I remember, is he used to wear a black and yellow striped shirt a lot of times to their gig, or at least that's the story that's always been told. So everybody started calling him Sting, and he just went with it. So there's a good new video out with the drummer. Good Lord, what's the name of the drummer from the Police? Yeah, Stuart Copeland. That oh man, I'm starting to lose my friggin' mind.
He did a good interview with Rick Beato.
Thank you. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yes, yep. I watched that one the other night. So I know exactly what I watched. I just couldn't remember either their names. But yeah, it's a good interview. It's a really good interview. So watch that one. I kind of like watching Rick's stuff. Rick's got some pretty good stuff. And he's just a nice delivery, and he's got some good names on there and some obscure guys from time to time, but it's good stuff. But anyway, that's not why we're here. Sting, because Peter Noon's nickname was Herman, and I went with another guy with a nickname. I think, yeah, that's the only one I picked. There was others, but that's the only one I picked.
What are your thoughts, Joe, on what are your guys' thoughts on Sting's solo career, like post The Police, with Fields of Gold and all that kind of stuff?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, love The Police, huge fan of The Police, and appreciate Sting, but it and have an album, but it doesn't ever hit my turntable. Mm-hmm. It was just different, and it's just the direction that he went in, and it's good. It just doesn't do anything for me.
Right.
Especially in comparison to The Police. If maybe he just would have been an artist that would have came along and that would have been his style, maybe that would have been different. But it's just so far different than The Police, and I really liked them. So it was not that I hated it, because I liked it. But so another topic we could probably do quick, and then I'll shut the hell up because it's not my turn anymore, is we could do secondary British invasion bands, because there's like the big four, and then there are a lot of those other bands. That might be a topic for down the line as well.
You could. Yep, you could.
Okay, I'm done. Shut up.
Okay. So this one I had to think about for a minute. And so I'm going from Herman's Hermits to the Monkees. And how am I getting there? Well, according to my notes, of which I have some, the biggest hit that Herman's Hermits had was I'm Into Something Good, which was written by Jerry Goffin and Carole King, very famous songwriting duo, who also wrote the Monkees hit Pleasant Valley Sunday, which happens to be on this record, which is my favorite Monkees song. That's not saying a lot. I don't know if Sam's still watching, and if you are, Sam, sorry for what I'm about to say. I don't like the Monkees. I think they're a joke. I do not respect them at all. And Sam's going to be throwing stuff at this computer screen now, and we might not be friends anymore, but I still love you, Sam. I don't. There are some bands that I think are a joke. The Monkees, the Bare Naked Ladies. I don't. Whatever. But I do like the song Pleasant Valley Sunday. I think that's a fun song, and it's enjoyable. Goffin King, who also wrote I'm Into Something Good by Herman's Hermits.
What was it? We were half the members of that band couldn't even play an instrument. Is that correct?
Oh God, if Sam was here, he'd be just livid with you because Mike Nesmith, I'll give you that, is a songwriter. Apparently Peter Tork was a bit of a musician. Mickey learned to play the drums. Davey just sang, but far be it for me to comment any further. Sam is the diehard Monkees fan, and I hope Sam doesn't watch this later because I'll get an earful tomorrow.
Not when I lived in this house, but in the house right over there, as I point at it, the Monkees were there. I think they were all there one day because Peter Tork's folks, his dad was teaching at the University of Regina, and they had a house here when he was teaching, and all of the Monkees were in Regina and in the house across the street from me. Again, before I was in this house, back in the days. So I don't have exact dates, and I don't have pictures. There is a newspaper clipping. If I was held to task, Joe, you're full of shit. No, there's a newspaper clipping, and if it's in the newspaper, it's got to be real, right? Just like if it's on the internet.
Yeah, well, I used to live on the same street as Neve Campbell, the actress. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah, that's right.
I think the funny thing about the Monkees is they're that kind of band that not most of us, a lot of us don't like, but yet we still have a copy of an album of theirs in our collection for some reason.
I like the TV show. Don't get me wrong. The TV show was fun. I watched it all the time when I was in high school. It was always on Much Music. It was great. I just don't respect them as musicians, and that's probably my ignorance. I don't know shit. I am no expert. I'm just some idiot that likes to get on YouTube and pretend he knows something when really he doesn't know anything. So there you go. We'll move on from that then.
No. I was reading. Chris comes up with some interesting stuff in the comments that we don't always show it, and I kind of try and.
I see something about something, but I'm going to skip over that because I don't know what I'm going to not go there.
It's the rhyming thing. It's the old ridiculous rhyming thing with Regina.
Oh, I get it. You've probably heard that 1,000 times, right?
1,001 now. Yes.
Like that.
Oh, speaking of, real quick, because I don't want to forget, although I have it written down. So I'm driving home from work yesterday, and I've got, I don't know, Amazon Music on, I think. And hey, cool, a Canadian channel. I just decided to pick it. So it started off, it was Gordon Lightfoot, and If You Could Read My Mind. And then I'm watching a show last night, and that's in it. But that's not the story, because the next 3 songs in a row, which thank Christ I could skip, I shit you not, were The Summer of '69, into American Woman by the Guess Who, into Born to Be Wild. It was those 3 freaking songs in a row. It was like, shit. And then
you hit the trifecta, or as we say in Canada, the triactor.
I think so.
To our American friends, we don't have trifectas here. They're called triactors.
And then it was Buffalo Springfield, because Neil's in the band, I guess. It was on the Canadian channel, I guess.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah. Sorry, Darryl. I had to get that out.
That's okay. That's okay.
John, we're not shitting on the Monkees, and whatever you do, don't tell Sam. Okay, Darryl.
All right. Well, speaking of Canadian, Joe, you recently did a video on seven musicians or bands that you've kind of come to a greater appreciation for.
Yeah. Yeah.
This fits into that category, and I actually just got this as part of that going into the radio station thing. So a little bit of Canadian content here. I don't know, for a long time, I just could not get into this. I just didn't get her. And maybe it's because I didn't have an appreciation for folk music and stuff like that. But now that I've listened to some of it, and I think Big Yellow Taxi is one of those songs for me. So Joni Mitchell's Ladies of the Canyon album. But yeah, Big Yellow Taxi. I don't know what it is. I think, who was it that redid that? Counting Crows. I just couldn't stand that cover. And so anytime I heard Big Yellow Taxi, even if it was by Joni Mitchell, I just didn't get it. However, this album here is fantastic. The Woodstock is an amazing song. And this album, really good. Cool artwork on the back with those little, I don't know what those are, geese or seagulls or whatever it is. But it's just a neat album. I don't think we talk about Joni Mitchell enough.
No.
Kind of like the Anne Marie thing. And so I went with some Joni Mitchell. I could have went with Anne Marie. I thought about it, but I went with a different female musician this time from Canada. So Joni Mitchell, staple. And I did not realize till I saw a picture of her recently, like she's in her mid 80s now. So she's been around for quite a long time.
And hats off to Anne Murray that you mentioned, who just got honored at the Junos. Did she get inducted into the Hall of Fame, or was that a Lifetime Achievement Award? It was something.
Lifetime Achievement Award. Yeah.
Lifetime, I
there
think.
You go.
Yeah.
And I love that she came on with a Canadians jersey, like a Team Canada jersey on. So elbows up.
Exactly.
That was great. All right, Joe, what's your connection?
Actually, you go, because for some reason I missed this one and I got to go. I have something in mind. I'll be right back, but you go and I'll go get something.
Okay. So my connection to Joni Mitchell is the Hollies. And Joni Mitchell had a relationship with Graham Nash, by all accounts, a fairly turbulent one, to the point that it inspired a lot of the her Blue album. So Graham Nash, obviously one of the founding members of the Hollies. There he is right there on the back of the cover. This is their greatest hits, the only Hollies record I have, which is the only one you need. But it has some great songs on it. I was obsessed with this album in high school. So from Joni Mitchell to Graham Nash to the Hollies. Simple.
Right on. The Hollies are a great band. Actually, when I played in a cover band here in Moosonee, one of our covers, we always did Long Cool Woman.
Yes.
Which is a great song.
So Joe just mentioned Bus Stop, and that's how I got into the Hollies. I think I've mentioned this story before. The first time I heard the Hollies, I might have been in grade 9, 10 maybe. And there was a certain young woman that I thought was just, the most beautiful creature to ever walk the face of the earth. And she didn't give me the fucking time of day, which is okay. But, it sort of resonated. The song Bus Stop sort of resonated with that experience for youthful Robbie back in the day. And then I got this simply for that song. And then when I heard Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress, that nice guitar, that kind of the hook to that song, I was like, whoa, what is this? This is not that sort of Brit pop, whatever. So I love the Hollies. Still, it's a great record.
Yeah, He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother is a pretty powerful song. Like, they kind of go under the radar, those guys, really.
Yep.
A little bit. All right. I think maybe I didn't pull an album because I was going to tell a story, so I'll do both. Although I think everybody, maybe there's someone that's watching or will watch that hasn't heard my Joni Mitchell story. But first off, she is from Saskatoon, spent formative years in Saskatoon, and then moved down to the Laurel Canyon with Neil and the rest of it. So I think you started a little smile, and I don't know if you knew where I was going with this, Rob, but I know you love when I show these guys because you're a big fan. Man, they keep talking about new music. They do little tours. They do a couple of days here and there. They've secured the band. They've made it a little more solid, the same group for about a year or so now. They keep talking about coming out with new music, but they just have not yet. But it is One Bad Son, and this is Black Buffalo back a number of years now. Unfortunately, it's been a while since there was an album after this that they put out. But great band.
Feel free to leave me that in your will if you want, Joe.
Yeah. It's and it's got the original 4 autographs on it as well. So
hence the reason I said leave it to me in your will.
So I will tie 2 stories together. So I think it was the bass player whose name, if I look, it'll take me longer to look. The bass player's dad, when he was still with the band, was the general manager of the Sheraton Cavalier Hotel in Saskatoon. So at the Sheraton Cavalier Hotel in Saskatoon that I used to work with a number of years ago, a while ago now, I used to run the bar, one of the lounges. It was called Lorenzo's, and it was attached to the dining room. And on Christmas, we would be open because the dining room would also be open. So they needed someone to make the drinks for the dining room because they were fairly busy. And I drew the short straw one Christmas, and I'm there, and I'm sitting there kind of twiddling my thumbs because there's not a lot to do. But anyway, I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden there was a little walkway where the servers would come in and pick up the drinks from us. Anyway, this lady walks in, and I kind of look, and I'm half asleep because it's Christmas Day and I'm bored out of my mind. But then it dawns on me that it's Joni Mitchell. So she sits down and pulls out her pack of smokes, lights up a smoke, because this is that long ago that you could still smoke indoors, and has a smoke with me because she's with her parents. She's back in Saskatoon visiting for Christmas, and she's visiting with her parents. They don't want her to smoke at the table in the dining room. So she came into the lounge, had a smoke with me, and talked with me a couple of times. We had nice conversations. It was awesome. I said, "You're great. I love your music," et cetera, a little fan stuff. And I can't remember the whole conversation because it is a while ago, but yeah, it was kind of cool. So
that's awesome.
That was my little Christmas gift, was getting to meet Joni Mitchell. So there you go. At the Sheraton Cavalier, who is now general managed by the dad of the guy that used to play bass in One Bad Son, and it's all out of Saskatoon. So there you go. There's the time.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like this comment here. We need more One Bad Son on vinyl. Absolutely, we do.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I've told that exact comment to Kurt Dahl, the drummer, because I have a connection with him. I don't know him, but we have a mutual friend, so I've talked to him once. And I said to Kurt, "Damn it, man, you got to put the self-titled album out on vinyl because I love that. The one with Radiator." Yep. What's it? Retribution Blues. That's
Retribution Blues. Yeah.
Great song.
Oh, I know.
And he goes, "Really? You think people want that?" I go, yeah, absolutely. He goes, "All right, we're working on it." So the next time I talked to him, I said, "Is that still in the works?" He goes, "It's coming." Who knows when?
Yeah, we need that, and we need also out of Saskatoon, we also need the Northern Pikes, and Snow in June also needs to get a reissue. I'm not sure what the problem is there. Daydream is a good Saskatchewan kid, so he knows who we're talking about.
Yep. Okay, Darryl, you're up again.
All right. So we talked about these guys earlier. We just happened to talk about it in passing about another album of theirs. I will preface this by saying I am pretty sure the lead singer of this band has got to be the only musician I know of that was actually born in Zanzibar. Before it became, I think, what is it, Tanzania now or whatever it is? I'm not 100% sure, but he was born in Zanzibar. But I'm not going to go with the jazz album. I'm going to go with News of the World because I remember my dad had this when I was a kid. It's one of the albums that was always on the end of where he used to keep his records. So he always used to keep this picture visible. And I don't know, there's just something about that stone rock creature that's on there that I don't know, it's fascinating to me. But I mean, We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions. Trying to think, there's one other one that's on here. I mean, these are like powerhouse songs. It's a little dark in here for me to see. Anyway, tons of good music on this. I know that We Will Rock You and especially We Are the Champions. A lot of people, it's kind of like Joe, you with Bryan Adams and some of those songs, just overplayed stuff. However, I could listen to that one all day long. I mean, it's a classic. That jazz, and their greatest hits album, I think, are probably three of the most recognizable Queen albums for sure. And leave a comment in the comment section. Does anybody know of any other musicians that were born in Zanzibar? Because I don't think I do.
I can think of a song that has the word Tanzania in it, though. But that's as close as I can get for you. So.
What the hell, Chris? Good selections from Joe and Darryl. Like what? Minor crap? Come on, man. You're gonna like this my next one, Chris. So just hang on a few minutes. All right, Joe.
All right. I guess I kind of softballed this one a little bit. I thought about a different direction, and if you don't do it, I'll talk about it quickly. But I just went basically. I think that's a robot. Although he looks kind of rock-like, I think he's a robot on the cover. So I went with another band that's got a robot on the cover, and right on the nose, it's iRobot from the Alan Parsons Project. Alan Parsons, there's a bunch that I can take or leave for sure, but it always sounds really, really good. Of course, Alan Parsons, I believe, was the producer or the engineer for Pink Floyd, if I remember correctly, did Dark Side, and then kind of went out on his own. And I enjoy, and this is a good album. I enjoy the Alan Parsons Project, but I can take or leave a lot of their stuff. But man, it always sounds really fantastic. So unlike the Queen one, and Darryl, you can show the Queen folds out and you get the full either giant or robot. I chose to go with robot. I thought about, I've got another one that's got a giant on it as well, but I went with iRobot.
That's true, Joe. I forgot. This is one of those top to bottom albums. It's a top loader.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, I think you're right. I think this is kind of like a robot that's meant to look like a Stone Age creature.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
On the inner sleeve there, got the band. Anyway, yeah, it's unique because it's one of those top loaders. You don't see too many top loaders.
It is certainly in the pantheon of some of the greatest album artwork, in my opinion, that's out there. That album, it caught your attention. If you were walking by that in the record store back in the day, what the hell is that? I think so. And it was good. The only problem with the song "We Will Rock You" is that most of the time it's followed by "We Are the Champions," because it does.
There's nothing wrong with that, and if you think there's something wrong with it, then you're wrong.
I know. We've had that discussion before.
We have.
Yeah.
Okay, my turn now. Chris, man, this one's for you. You'll like this. My connection to Queen is The Darkness. Yeah, this is their, up until 2 days ago, this would have been their most recent album, Motorheart, but they just put out a new one called Dreams on Toast. This came out in 2021, and the connection is the drummer for The Darkness on their last two albums, this one and Easter is Canceled, and the new one, is a guy by the name of Rufus Tiger Taylor, who is the son of Roger Taylor from Queen. Also a drummer. So, there you go.
Yeah, Darkness has some pretty, that is really cool album art on that Motorheart.
All of theirs are fantastic. There's another one. The only one I don't have One Way Ticket to Hell and Back. Hotcakes is pretty cool, but then they have another one that's got like it's same kind of, it might have been done by the same person. Got like this alien on the cover with like a helmet and a breathing mask. They've got some incredible album covers.
Easter is Canceled. Is that what the hell is it called? Is it Easter is Canceled? I can't remember.
Well, I have that here, and I almost showed it, but then I didn't know if YouTube was going to get upset because there's someone crucified on the cover, and I thought,
yeah,
I don't want YouTube to get angry at me with that.
It's an interesting cover. The other direction I was going to go was I was going to go with a band or an album that had back-to-back songs that just got played together, where they were not necessarily all one song, but where they got played back-to-back. And that was The Beat Goes On, Switching to Glide by the Kings. That was going to be the other direction I was going to go. So
that's fair.
Would have worked as well. There's a few of those out there. Not a lot, but there's a few.
Yep. Another one is No Sugar Tonight, New Mother Nature by the Guess Who.
Yeah. ZZ Top. Jesus Just Left Chicago, and what the hell ever comes after that, I can't remember. There's a bunch. There's a few. So I was going to go that direction. But
or what about your favorite, Bryan Adams? There's We're Gonna Win, and then there's another part to that on 18 Till I Die. Oh shit,
I don't remember that one.
I'll have to pull it up. Anyway.
Okay. There you go. But I like robots, so there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, Darryl, your turn again.
All right. So depending on people's thoughts on this one, you may lose or gain some audience members. I'm not sure. I know I have a buddy who despises this singer. I don't know why, but he just does not like this guy. The last time I saw him alive, I saw him on a TV show, and I think it was on Much Music or something. They actually had like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire musicians episode or something like this, and he got to the $1 million question.
Yep.
And he turned down the opportunity because it was for charity, so he didn't want to lose his money. So he opted not to go for the $1 million question or whatever it was. The $1 million question was actually about his own song. And that is Meatloaf. And speaking of cool artwork.
Yeah.
Bad Out of Hell, fantastic album. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Paradise by the Dashboard Light. I mean, what else can I say? You either like this album or you don't. Bad Out of Hell Part 2, which is mine in your early high school days. I would do anything for love and all that kind of stuff. Is a Jim Steinman, for what it's worth. I mean, he did some really good quality stuff with Meatloaf, and I don't know if that's where you guys went with this with Jim Steinman, but fantastic music on that album. I could listen to that one all day long.
You said one thing that was factually incorrect. You said people either like the album or they don't like the album. What you should have said was people either like the album or they're wrong.
Or they're wrong. Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
I know Joe doesn't like it, so he's wrong.
No, Jesus, God, no, I love that album.
Oh, it's Paradise that you were sick of.
For a week, I was sick of it. Then I heard it again. I'm like, yeah, I was wrong.
Right.
It was,
okay.
Yeah, it was. I've got. I think it's still close, but about 100 more hearings of it. I think I've got about 100, and then I'm done. Yeah. So,
Chris,
no,
good
I
night,
love
sir.
that album.
Chris is going to
Take
bed.
it easy, Chris.
It's night time in England. So,
Yeah.
good night, sir.
Chris.
I'll let you know when that package arrives. I'll go to the mailbox tomorrow. So, thanks for joining us, Chris. Okay. What's your
My turn?
connection there, Joe?
My connection is Jim Steinman. So, yeah, fantastic songwriter. Easy to say there would be no Meatloaf if there wasn't for Jim Steinman, and I guess that's not fair because he's got a phenomenal voice, and he might have found another guy, but this guy could really write a great song. Wrote a bunch for Bonnie Tyler, Total Eclipse of the Heart, Holding Out for a Hero. Wrote an Air Supply song. There's a bunch of different songs that Steinman wrote. This happens to be his own album because he and Meat were arguing at the time, and this probably would have been a bit of a Meatloaf album, or there would have been some more cuts off of it, but really good. It's got the same kind of theatrical rock, and I'm not sure why the stage play about the music of Steinman and Meatloaf didn't fly more than it should have, and or a movie. Like they could take all that movie because it's so theatrical. It's got all of those elements, and they could just do a really, really good job. But so that maybe that's something. I know they argued a lot with their record company. Their record company screwed them a bunch of times. But yeah, there you go. The lyricists, not quite Bernie Taupin and Elton John type, but damn close to those two. Singer and lyricist, not so much. Elton, of course, wrote all the music, and then Bernie wrote the words. So there you go.
Alex wants to know, is More Than You Deserve on that album?
On this one, please hold. It is not. No, it is not.
Okay.
I'm not sure what that's on. There wasn't a bunch on here except Love and Death of the American Guitar is pretty cool. Look that up. That's where it's one of those, like at the beginning of You Took the Words Right Out of My Mouth, where there's the two people talking. It's actually just him having a discussion about his Fenders or his Stratocasters. You should look for it. It's pretty cool. So, but no, it's not on that one, Alex.
Okay. I did not go the Jim Steinman route, but when I happened to look at the cast of characters assembled to play on said record, I noticed two gentlemen whose names really sort of stood out to me. One, Roy Bittan, and one, Max Weinberg.
Mm-hmm.
Play on that album, which then means, of course, the boss and the E Street Band.
Yep.
Right on.
Yeah, I don't think Max was not touring at all or was in any of the videos, I don't believe, but
No, he plays on 3 tracks on the album. And Roy plays everything except track 7 on the album. So they're on in various capacities, but on nonetheless, because those guys did a lot of session work. So, and this just happened to be the E Street Band record that I pulled. I could have pulled numerous others, but with this one. Yeah. So
I don't think you've pulled that one, or at least if you have, it's been a while.
I don't think that I've shown that one. That was the one. That was the one that sort of kickstarted my plunge into Springsteen. I mean, I had Born in the USA, but it just collected dust. And this was at a flea market, and it was $5, and it was in pretty good shape. And I thought, okay, well, $5, I'll take a flyer on this and see if I can figure out what everyone's raving about. I got it real quick. So, and now
I learned something about Bruce Springsteen the other day watching one of these BC videos. I didn't realize that he had done a record store day thing in 2014. He released like this EP with 4 songs on it or something like that. Just songs that didn't make, like really good songs that didn't make the cut from famous albums or whatever it was. That's pretty cool that he did that.
Yeah. I can imagine there's got to be a ton of stuff in his vault.
Yeah, for sure. So that'll be cool. Here you go. Just because it was easy accessible. That Out of Hell too. Great album, another great album. But again, him and Jim
show that again, Joe. There you go.
Him and Jim got back together and wrote another fantastic album. That one falls into the category of probably overplayed. I'd do anything for love, but it's so good. I still listen to it often. Watch the video. It's not the female that's singing in the video that's on the album, but man, that's the other thing you could talk about. Meatloaf, he always had fantastic, because he needed them, because they were a big part of it. He always had such great female counterparts that would sing with him. So there you go. Just because it was easy to get at. So Bad Out of Hell 2 as well. So
Alex is saying someone should have shown a Todd Rundgren record. I don't have any. I was almost going to show an Aerosmith record, and the connection there being when Liv Tyler was born, she thought Todd Rundgren was her father because she found it was Steven Tyler. So I almost went that route, but
yeah, that's a damn fine album.
Yes. And Rundgren produced Foghat. There you go. Okay. Darryl.
All right. So this tails off my 1970s. This is the last 1970s album. I went with, I don't want to, well, everybody knows that Glass Tiger is my favorite Canadian band. This guy here might be in my top 3 favorite Canadian musicians. So I'm going to go with a little Gino Vanelli out of, I think he's out of Montreal. Definitely the province of Quebec. Brother to Brother, which is a pretty fantastic album that's got Appaloosa on it. I Just Want to Stop, and Wheels of Life. That's the other one. Wheels of Life is a great song. So once again, kind of like the Joni Mitchell thing, I don't think he gets as much credit. And I think what it is his early 1970s stuff is just not, it just wasn't radio played material. It's more like an acquired kind of a thing, right? You either know it or you don't. And then post that, he was producing more radio friendly stuff, at least in Canada at the time. So if you are not familiar with Gino Vanelli, I would say give him a listen. And if you're going to go with an album that you're going to kind of come to, do the Brother to Brother one if you haven't heard him. This is probably the starting point, I would think, with Gino Vanelli. And then if you want to go backwards, you're going to get some weird stuff. And if you want to go forward, you're going to get a little more radio play type music. That one.
All right. Joe.
I'm up, am I? All right. Get myself back on there. All right. So what I went with, and you said, or you questioned whether Gino Vanelli was from Montreal. In fact, he is. So I went with another band out of Montreal, kind of one-hit wonder, but Priestess. Good album. Again, kind of one-hit wonder. I'm going to take it out of this sleeve, and we'll talk about the sleeve in a minute because it is autographed as well. Again, they didn't do a whole bunch, but there is a bit of a Montreal music scene. There's quite a few. They autographed it not just on the outside, but on the inside as well. And you want to make sure when you have an autographed album that you have good sleeves to put them in, because you have to protect the autographs that are on there. And there's a great place in Canada. In fact, they are manufactured in Montreal as well. It's called vinylstoragesolutions.ca. You can see there's a QR code right there. And if you hit that and go to that and order yourself some sleeves and use the promo code Northern10, you will get 10% off. So when you have a band from Montreal with an autographed album, you want to get sleeves that are manufactured in Montreal with the head office in Winnipeg. So it's all from Canada. And then use the promo code Northern10 and it'll get you 10% off.
Well done, Joe. Well done. I thought I would contribute something this week by actually having a.
It's good.
You know.
Yeah. You're just waiting for me. You weren't sure when I was going to do it, and I was waiting for the autograph. Although I've got a couple autographed, I guess, tonight, but I was waiting for this one because they're Montreal, and I believe that the plant now is in Montreal actually for Vinyl Storage Solutions. So.
I believe so. So
yeah,
there you go, folks. If you go there, if you just scan the QR code, it'll take you directly to my link, and you can use that code. So thanks for that, Joe.
You're welcome.
All right. We'll let me just reset everything here. Okay. So that means it's my turn, I guess, eh?
It is. That's
right.
right.
It is.
Jeez, a lot of things going on here. Okay, so Gino Vanelli. I have that Gino Vanelli record because it was gifted to me by somebody. So it took me a little bit of thinking what I could get to relate to that. And I'm going to go with Carole King's Tapestry. Why? Because this particular pressing is mastered by Bernie Grundman, who mastered that Gino Vanelli record.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a stretch, but it's still there. So.
No,
and you mentioned it this week because Joe was absolutely disgusted, and all of us for not mentioning Carole King last week on our all-female edition.
Yeah, we have to actually work that album in every week now. I think that's the goal. We got to find a way to get Carole King's Tapestry in all the time. So the other thing I learned when kind of figuring out what I was going to do with Gino Vanelli, because I wasn't quite sure, was that one of the early tours he went out on was he was opening for Stevie Wonder, and that was Stevie Wonder songs in the key of Lifetime. So imagine that. It's like, hey, go out on tour with this guy. That probably helped quite a bit as well. And he was a little more, adult contemporary, probably fit pretty well with Stevie Wonder, but that would have been pretty, yeah, there you go. That would have been pretty decent to be on.
John is misinformed because if you watch the news today, Canada is not one of the countries included in the new tariff package. Thank fucking God. So anything that is covered under the Canada, US, Mexico free trade agreement is tariff free, which I suspect these are. And even if it wasn't, there is an exemption you can get through Vinyl Storage Solutions to exempt you from tariffs because you're under a certain purchase threshold. Just saying.
There you go.
They should actually pay me for this shit, but they only pay me a few nickels if you order something. So
yeah.
Darryl's
Darryl's drinking Mexican beer tonight too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I am drinking Modelo Especial today.
Very good.
It's the light one. I actually prefer the Negra Modelo, the dark one. But we can't get it up here, at least not right now.
We don't want to get it up here is what you're saying.
I would like to get it up here.
No, you don't.
And my
not the American stuff.
My local beer store. It's not the beer store. I have to buy everything through the LCBO here.
There you go. That's the Liquor Control Board of Ontario, folks. We have government-run liquor store in Ontario.
Yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting that even other provinces don't have that bullshit.
Right, exactly.
We did till about a year ago. It was still the province of Saskatchewan Liquor Board. Now they still sell it to all of the independent retailers, but you
could now get it in our gas stations and grocery stores.
Yeah,
you can buy it at Walmart.
You can buy it at Walmart. Yeah. Yep. That's new within what, the last year or so, I think. That was apparently a big problem that Doug Ford needed to solve, apparently.
They need to get it. They need to get alcohol in Canadian Tire. So if we really have to go to a big box store to buy our alcohol, we can go and buy it at Canadian Tire.
What I think Canadian Tire really needs, especially because they have a service department, every Canadian Tire should have a Tim Hortons.
There you go.
Yes.
One-stop shopping.
Exactly.
Wait,
Who
they're
wouldn't
waiting
want to
for
go?
your tires changed.
Who wouldn't want to go to Who wouldn't want to go to Canadian Tire on a Saturday morning and grab a Tim's while you're there and just walk around the store? That sounds like heaven to me. And to the Americans, are going, what the hell is Canadian Tire? Just Google it, folks. It's not a tire store. I mean, it is a tire store, but it's not a tire store.
You know, I still can't believe that Canadian Tire did the whole Canadian Tire smelling car freshener thing. That's awesome.
Yep.
And I never got to get one. They were sold out.
I know. Me neither. Okay. What's your next pick there, Darryl?
All right. My next pick is probably one of the most famous solo male musicians of all time. I mean, nobody can deny this. Previous to this, I mean, he was in a childhood family band, and I don't think I've ever shown this ever on my channel, and that is Michael Jackson's Thriller. I don't know what more to say about it. I mean, it's either you know this one or you don't. Popular around Halloween. I'm not just Thriller itself, but Want to Be Starting Something, The Girl Is Mine, Thriller is on here. I know PYT is on. Oh, Billie Jean and Human Nature. I mean, the whole album is like a greatest hits album.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm not a huge Michael Jackson fan, but I think that this is the one that if I'm going to own, that's the one I'm going to own. I think it's pretty snazzy, and I think based on how Michael Jackson's dressed in there, he was pretty snazzy too. So then a little bit after that, it kind of went to his head. He started going a little nuts, I think, with his surgeries and stuff he was doing. But I mean, hey, I guess if you got the money to do it. And I was watching a documentary on Gary, Indiana, and how it's kind of become kind of a, correct me if I'm wrong, but kind of a dump of a city, to the point where, you know, his childhood home and everything, I don't even know if they're maintaining it anymore.
Really? Yeah, he had a lot of issues. There's a lot of things that went on, but he made big selling albums. Quincy Jones had a little bit to do with that as well. I think obviously Michael had the talent, and then Quincy got the most out of him, and all the other extracurricular tainted it, I guess. So
yeah.
All right, Joe, what's your connection?
Just go back to just the three of us for a second. I have a question, just because I noticed it. In the background, on the top of your Calyx, is that Neruda by Red Rider? That's the Neruda you bought, isn't it?
That is Neruda. Yes, it is.
Nice. That's a great album. I would have sent you that one. I thought you had it, or it would have been in the pile. But anyway.
You know what? I it's okay. I don't get what's great about it.
It followed as far as Siam, which it's tough to follow those big albums.
That was the thing, because as far as Siam was so incredible. It's just one that I never stumbled across. And when I was at the record show with Mike from MGK Boston, someone had it, and it's barely been played. There's not even ringware, and I paid $5 for it.
There you go. Good. Awesome. Yeah. I noticed it there, and I wasn't sure if that's what it was or not, but that looked like what it was.
Good eyes, man. Good eyes.
Yeah. Got the glasses on. Yeah. All right. So the angle that I am going to go is, speaking of Thriller, which again comes up. They play it all the time, but obviously they play it a ton during Halloween. And the gentleman that does a bit of a voiceover, we've got voiceovers on Meatloaf, we got voiceovers on Michael Jackson Thriller, and we've got voiceovers by the same guy. Vincent Price is also on Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare. So that's my connection, is just Vincent Price does the voiceover in Thriller, and he does the voiceover on the Alice Cooper song as well. So there you go. Pretty straightforward. That's one of my all-time favorites, both the performer and the album, as I continue to flip it around numerous times. But I'm a big AC fan. I don't think that's a I don't think that's a big surprise. So
you cannot go wrong with Alice Cooper. But okay, now here's my question about Alice Cooper, Joe. What are your thoughts? Because this is just before I got to high school, his Trash album with Poison and all that. Your thoughts on that?
I love Trash. I know it was a departure, right? That was like Desmond Child, and it was kind of it was different, but I really, really liked Trash. I was working in a nightclub at that time, and I got to run the lights. And House of Fire, I just filled the whole friggin' place with like the fake smoke, and then I just had the lights doing this. It was one of my favorite songs to do the lights to. But I really like that album. Yeah, and again, it's more of a Bon Jovi album along the lines of than an Alice Cooper album, especially considering, especially compared to Welcome to My Nightmare. But I really liked it. You don't or you do like it?
Yeah, that's fair. You either like it or you don't.
No, but do you like it or not like it?
Oh yeah, no, I used to love that album. I think it brings me back to grade 7 and 8 dances for me.
Yeah, like Poison and House of Fire, and yeah, it's a good album. It is a departure for sure, but it's a great album.
Yeah.
So. And I saw him on that tour too. I've seen him 10 times, and it was good. He came out of this big garbage can. It blew up, and that's how Alice Cooper walked out. So it was a hell of a way to start. So.
Okay. I'm one of the few people that don't like Thriller. I listened to it, my wife has, and I went, whatever. No reason other than it just doesn't appeal to me. But my connection, obviously, Paul McCartney, because Paul sings on The Girl Is Mine, which is the third track on that record. So I'm going to show a Paul record, and I'm just going to show this one. Why not? Because very few people have this.
Yeah.
This was Flaming Pie from 1997. This is not the reissue. This is an OG that's worth a shit ton of money. I bought this at my local record store back when I was in high school. There was just been that record store downtown, and my high school was like 5-minute walk away. There were many days I skipped class in the afternoon and went down to the record store, and one day they had this, and I bought it for. It still had the sticker. I still actually have the price tag inside of it. For some reason, I kept the shrink. And I paid $15 for this brand new back in 1997. So, there you go. Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney, yeah.
Let's see here. Waiting for someone to show the similarly Thriller posted Lionel Richie album cover. I don't think anyone's going to show any Lionel Richie tonight. So
I know what he's talking about, though. Yeah, the pose is pretty similar. So
yeah.
Okay. Darryl, you're up again, man.
I almost thought you went with Paul McCartney because Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson are almost two in the same. They're two of the most well-known male musicians of all time.
I could have also went that they hated each other because Michael bought the Beatles catalog out from under Paul. I could have went that way too, but I went literal, like Paul's on that album. So
fair enough. All right, this next album, I wouldn't say this album in particular defines my childhood. I would say this musician defines my childhood. I remember making mixed tapes of this guy, me and my brother, going to sleepovers and listening to this guy with my friends. My dad used to play them all the time. And last but not least, almost any musician who has been parodied by Weird Al Yankovic and his 3D album has stated that if you ever got asked to be parodied by Weird Al, you've made it big when. Because he respected you that much. And even Coolio in the end came to regret his decision for getting mad at Weird Al for parodying his song. So Weird Al Yankovic, like I said, this defines my childhood. Me and my brother used to listen to this stuff nonstop on cassette tape. I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one that has Eat It on it. I mean, going Michael Jackson to Weird Al. And I mean, up until I think it was like 6 or 7 years ago, Weird Al was still parodying music. I think he's kind of moved out of that scene now. I think he said he wanted to move forward. I don't think he's making any more albums, but it's the only Weird Al I have on vinyl. And I want to get more because I don't know. It just brings back, like I said, a childhood that was just, it's all fun. That's all it was fun music.
Dare to be stupid. Yep. It's great. It's good stuff. So
Okay, Joe, what's your connection?
Al has had so much of an influence on me, or he has been so popular that when I hear "Beat It," I sing "Eat It," and when I hear "Like a Surgeon" or whatever, "Like a Virgin," I sing the Al song in my head when I hear the other song because he did so good. And Coolio finally, like, I mean, Amish Paradise is so good. It's like it's one of his best parodies.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. So we're gonna stick in the parody line. We're going to do it for two reasons, because this is a parody song and it's just a 12-inch, but it also happens to be on that album. There is I Lost on Jeopardy. And there's a game show coming up in a little while. Stay tuned for that. We'll talk about that more. But I've got Vanna Pick Me a Letter. I'm not sure if you guys remember that song. It was
I have that exact album. I have that exact
Dr.
album.
Dave, Vanna Pick Me a Letter, based on Write Me a Letter. I don't know. I can't remember who the hell was that.
Box
Is that the
Tops.
guy from Big Star? Yeah, Box. Right. Yeah, that was who then turned into Big Star, or at least the singer. But anyway, this is the parody version, and again on that, Weird Al is I Lost on Jeopardy, and you can't talk about Jeopardy without talking about Wheel of Fortune as well. So Vanna, Pick Me a Letter, because they're just back to back. They're still back to back at the 5 o'clock or the 6 o'clock or whatever the supper hour is. They're still tied together. But there you go.
Okay, this one was a little tough for me because I didn't have any of the albums that any of the parodies are derived from. But then I read a little bit, and I'm going to show this. Bob Marley, because there's a song in here called "Buy Me a Condo," which is a reggae inspired song, and I actually read an interview of an interview from Al, and it was in one of his box sets or something. I read it online, where he said when he was writing that song, he was listening to a lot of Bob Marley, and he modeled that song, at least the feel of that song, off of Buffalo Soldier. It's not a direct parody of Buffalo Soldier, but that's where he got the inspiration for "Buy Me a Condo."
That's cool.
Excellent.
Yeah. And that's a great album. That Legend album is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I used to not be a Bob Marley was one of those where I was just kind of like, I don't care. And then my wife and son would play it all the time in the car, and I'd go, oh shit, I gotta hear this again. And it got to the point like it wore me down. And then a couple years ago, when I was doing a VC meetup with Embryonic Robot and Chris from Styles Meets Vinyl, the first time we met up at Sonic Boom in Toronto, they had this copy, and it was $10 or whatever. It's a really, really clean copy. I'm like, well, damn it, I hear this thing all the time in the car with the wife and kids, so I better buy the record. And it's actually the kind of thing, you know, now that if I'm in a kind of a shit mood, you put it on, it, you know, cheers you up a little bit. So
it does. Agreed. Yep. Al had a few of his own songs that were pretty decent as well. You've got to listen to the albums to hear them. Obviously, he never had any radio hits with any of his own written songs that I can remember anyway, but there's some good stuff.
You know what I love about Al now is he likes to just show up and guest with people. So Weezer was doing a concert, and they were covering, I think, Toto's Africa, and Weird Al came out and played with them. Like, there's videos of it on YouTube. And there's another band on YouTube called the Middle Aged Dad Jam Band. The guy, it's Ken Marino, who's an actor, and his producer buddy. They just get together in his buddy's garage and they cover songs. Well, there was this, and I don't remember, it was one of the first videos they did on YouTube. Weird Al came and played accordion on this song. So he just likes to, instead of parodying now, he just likes to come and play with people just for shits and giggles. And
He
great.
just seems like an all-out fun guy. And I mean, the fact that he made that movie UHF, which is absolutely so stupid, but yet so funny. He's
Michael
just
Richards
done it all.
Yeah, and he's fantastic in concert. At least he was like 8-10 years ago. He put on the fat suit when he sang Fat. He did some costume changes and things like that. He played it up for sure, and then he brings out the accordion and it's a party. So
I don't know if anyone can tell, but the three of us really model our hairstyles after Weird Al.
We do. Yeah. That's right.
Absolutely identical.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. There you go.
Back when I had hair, I looked like that.
Nice.
JWG Moore, good point. Everyone should have Legend in their collection. Yes. Every Bob Marley album is amazing. This is where we wish we had Curtis tuning in, because Curtis from NLP Lovers is our reggae expert. So
That's right. Well, it's come up twice tonight, so it's got to be doing something right for different reasons, but
absolutely. Okay, Darryl, what you got for us next?
All right. Well, next I have the one that gave Rob the most trouble of all of it. I'm hoping Richard is here, because I think Richard, he's talked about this album before. He loves this album, and in fact, this album here recently has become one of my most played albums that's been on my turntable since I got this. It's another one of those radio show steals that I got. I have listened to this thing nonstop, and there's not a track on it that I don't like. And that's Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair. The duo that they did. How many albums did they do? They did this plus the one with Sowing the Seeds of Love on it, and then there was another one. I have 2 of the 3. I think they've done a few since, but this is the most famous of them all. I mean, if you know Shout and Everybody Wants to Rule the World, well, this is the album that's for you. And but the rest of it is just, once again, for me, I've gained a very new appreciation for these guys listening to this album. It's fantastic from start to finish. And so, yeah, I wanted to throw that one on because I think it's a great album that people, I've seen it in the BC. People have talked about it over and over, and I never listened to the whole thing. And then I threw it on the turntable when I got it, and I was like, holy shit, now I know what they're talking about. And that's one of those albums.
There's a few that come through the shop because we buy collections, and there's certain albums are in all of them. That one is in every collection and instantly sells. I think, we've been open almost a year, and we've had 10 copies and they've all sold. They're in, and they don't last very long in the store. It is sought after. And it's very sonically well done as well. So it's another one. It's one of those that is done really well. So if you want to listen to. Do you want to go, Rob, or are you just chomping at the bit to get this one out of the way? Or
I'll rip the Band-Aid off.
Okay, you go then.
So I don't have an opinion either way on this album. I don't care for Tears for Fears. I like the song Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I think it's a fine song. But this goddamn album pissed me off this week because it has literally taken me, whenever Darryl sent us the list, Friday or Saturday or Sunday or whatever it was, it's taken me up until about half hour before we went live today to find a match. And I wasn't just going to go, well, there's Tears on the album, I'm going to go with another album with you. No, I wanted, I'm trying to hold myself to a high standard on this. So it took me a long ass time. So I'm going to show an album once removed because I don't actually have the album. If Alex is watching, I know he does. So my connection to this is Def Leppard. And you might go, what? So one of the producers and the guy that co-wrote Everybody Wants to Rule the World is a guy named Chris Hughes, who's also in Adam and the Ants, and he was a producer and synth player and whatever. He played, what's my notes here? He played synth on the song Hello America on Def Leppard's second album, which is the album before this, which I don't have on Through the Night. I know Alex has it. So
it's over there.
What's that?
It's over there.
There you go. So he played synth on the Def Leppard record, and he produced and co-wrote on that Tears for Fears record. So Chris Hughes, who up until an hour ago, I had no idea who the hell he was. So.
Well, that's good.
I'm glad to get that out of the way because this damn record's been bugging me all bloody week. So
that's part of this process, right? Is the things that we learn along the way when we're trying to figure out ones like that. So mine, it took a little bit. Yeah, there was, you could have gone the easy route, and this is kind of still going to be the easy route. 2 guys on the cover, stuff like that. But what I went with is the fact that it was a pretty monster album right off the bat. debuted, I believe, at number 2 in the UK charts. I think it got to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, but it debuted at number 2 and stayed and never got to be a number 1 album in the UK. And the one that kept it off was Phil Collins and No Jacket Required. So it was just a timing thing because Phil was so hot at this time, right? This was after In the Air Tonight and things like that. So you would think, that's a scary ass album cover, even with the light on it. Phil's got a red face. You would have thought that album would have went to number 1, especially in the UK, being a British band, and it did in the States. But Phil kept them off the number 1, and they never got there. They were 2 for a couple of weeks. They dropped after that. They dropped down to like 3 or 4, and just never got there. I think the singles might have made number 1 there, but the album itself did not, because Phil was around for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks in a row.
Some of the most recognizable songs from the 80s are on those 2 albums. I mean, Tears for Fears with Everybody Wants to Rule the World, and In the Air Tonight with the air drums and all that stuff. I mean, there's no doubt there's some popular music, and if anybody's going to keep Tears for Fears out of the number 1 spot, I mean, it's going to be Phil Collins at that point.
Yep, it was a timing thing. Yeah, certain albums, actually, there's a couple of pretty decent articles about the albums that only made it to number 2 only because there was just another killer album at number 1 and they never made it to number 1. So,
okay,
what's up next, D?
We got 4 to go. All right, Darryl.
Actually, we got 3 to go.
Oh yeah, 3 to go. Oh yeah, 3 to go. That's right. I can't count apparently.
Yeah.
Why the hell do I have so many pulled? Oh, I remember why.
All right. I had to do this. I mean, it would be wrong for me not to show my favorite band. I just have to do it. Is this my favorite album by them? I'm not sure. This is actually an album that I did a video the other day, kind of combined it, a couple of threads. Or that one with the joy, what brings joy and all that kind of stuff. There's a song on this album by Glass Tiger, My Song. I don't know what it is about that song. Anytime I hear that song, it kind of can bring me out of a bad mood. I think it's just a fantastic Celtish, Scottish type song. But this is the Diamond Sun album. Quite a few hits on this one. Diamond Sun, I'm Still Searching, My Song, Watching Worlds Crumble. These are all hits in Canada, not necessarily obviously around the world, but I will champion this band whenever I can. Other than the Simple Mission album, I have all their stuff on vinyl, and I've really got to find a good copy, but I can't find it in the wild at all. I've anytime I've been out recently, I just can't find it in stores, and I really don't want to pay for a brand spanking new copy. I'd rather just get an original used one. But and then the inner sleeve is quite neat with the band on it, and just a nice light bluish tinge to it. So yeah, Glass Tiger, throw that in because they're my favorite band of all time, pretty much.
I keep looking. Go ahead.
I think it's official. Darryl now talks about Glass Tiger more than I talk about Blue Rodeo.
Yeah, maybe. And I thought about
I'm going to bring in the audience on this one. Do Robin or Richard and John? Do you think I bring it up more than? We'll poll the audience.
Say yes, guys.
I actually thought about that, bringing up Blue Rodeo and having that as the tie-in, but I did not. I didn't go with. There's a number of ways that you could have gone with Glass Tiger, and I went a little weird. I went a little softball, not softball, but left field. You gotta think about this one. Glass Tiger sold 3 million copies of that album, and Van Halen sold 3 million copies of 5150. That's it. I didn't go too deep. I didn't even go that interesting because I wasn't going to go with, I know there's some guys that wrote some songs for Glass Tiger, where they're from, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, they sold 3 million copies of that album, and Van Halen sold 3 million copies, which you think would be more, but it's not for 5150.
No, 3 million copies. Is that gold? Is that what that brings it to?
That's
gold?
I think 3 million is actually triple platinum. I think if you make $1 million, that's gold. If you sell 1 million copies of, can you imagine that?
I think gold in Canada is 100,000.
how many albums they used to press compared to how many albums they press now. They used to make like millions and millions of copies of albums, and now it's more, oh, they're limited to 500 copies. But anyway, I digress.
Okay. This was an easy one for me because I know that Glass Tiger is Darryl's favorite band. And so the connection there for me is I obviously have to go with Joe's favorite Canadian artist.
Yeah, I could see it sitting there on the desk. Yeah.
Bryan Adams, Cuts Like a Knife. And the connection here is a gentleman by the name of Jim Vallens. Jim Vallens is a Canadian producer and songwriter. I think he's from out in BC. He produced that Glass Tiger record, and he actually started working with Bryan when Bryan was with Sweeney Todd, and then they co-wrote Bryan's first record, which is that weird purple blue one, which most Americans haven't seen. I got it over there. And then I think they did You Want It, You Got It, and then they did this one. And then I think they did Reckless, and then I had a falling out, and they didn't speak for like 20 years, but they patched up their differences and started working together. So I actually much prefer this over Reckless, to be quite honest. But I know it's Joe's favorite, so I wanted to show it.
Yeah, I figured you might go there. I guess the other somewhat easier one would have been Rod Stewart as well, who also did that song with Glass Tiger, and I think that's on that album, is it not? The one, or no?
Which one's he does My Town, eh?
Yeah.
No, that one's on the one I don't have. That's on the Simple Mission one.
Oh, okay, the one I'm gonna find for you. I'm actively looking for it, but I haven't found it yet. But I will.
It's a tricky one because I think it was released in 1990 or 91, right? The tail end of the vinyl record era. Yeah. No, I love. I don't know what it is. I'm one of the few I think that champions them, but hey, somebody has to. I think
they're here next week or the week after. I think they're coming soon to the Casino Show Lounge here in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. So come on down, we'll go. I think there's tickets. I don't know. If not, we'll just walk in like we own the place. That's the way you get in.
We got a troll. We got a troll in the comments here. Some guy named John saying the Blue Rodeo praise outweighs the Glass Tiger praise. I will ban you, sir, if you continue to heckle the panel.
Yeah.
No tolerance for that kind of behavior in the comments section.
I tried to find. I couldn't find. I was going to go with an album cover that had the band's logo carved into a rock. If there is one, I couldn't find it. I thought about Deep Purple in rock, but that's not the case. That's just them on Mount Rushmore. So couldn't find it, but tried. There's probably something out there, but anyway.
Okay. Darryl, give us another one. 2 more to go.
All right. So two more to go. This one here, definitely out of all the albums that I have, this is the darkest, deepest, hard album that I have. My Teenage Angst, and I think I've mentioned this before, but there's an explicit lyrics symbol that's on here, and my parents at one point in time they didn't really want the explicit lyric stuff in the house, but then as I got older, they didn't care. But then my youngest sister, this is a funny story. My youngest sister actually bought the Antichrist Superstar Marilyn Manson album. She was like 13 years old, and she walked into a store and bought it. And my parents were so mad that they sold it to her because they were like, she's 13. How could you even be selling her this stuff and all this kind of, so they made her return it. But my mom actually bought me this one on cassette tape with the explicit lyric symbol on it as Tool's Undertow, which is, it's such a dark album. But I brought this up a couple weeks ago when we talked about band members that when we talked about when a band member changed and how it impacted the band. Well, the bassist Paul D'Amour, that's the last album he was ever on with them, and then he kind of went his own way because he just didn't like the way that the band was going, and they were going more progressive or prog rock, but in a heavier way. And there's a lot of just dark tracks on there that deal with Maynard's childhood. You know, Prison Sex is on there, Sober is on there, Intolerance is on there. Swamp Song is probably my favorite song that's on there, but I can't play it around my kids because there's too many F-bombs in it. And then the very last track, the hidden track, I think it's called Disgustipated. The first time I ever heard it, right? I had it on cassette tape. My mom bought it on a cassette tape. And I just thought that the cassette was just playing on, and I just let it go in silence. And then that he's talking about carrots and rabbits and whatever it is there, and it's just the creepiest freaking song you'll ever hear if you ever have it on earphones at 11 o'clock at night and you're not expecting it. So there's just it's if you want to get rid of some teenage angst and you're pissed off, it's the Tool album to go, other than Anima for sure, but you'll never get a copy of Anima for cheap. And the Tool Undertow, if you want an original of that, you're paying out the ass for it. You're not going to get an original, so you're better off with just a repress. And Tool is my favorite band other than Primus, and then obviously my favorite Canadian band we just talked about. But yeah, I thought I'd throw in some favorites of mine, and that got me through some pretty dark times. I'll put it that way, just dark and not like I was going through like a shit ton of stuff, but that high school, you're pissed off at everything that's going on in high school time. So I went with Tool. There we go.
There you go.
Okay, Joe.
I looked down and I went, man, we've only got 2 left, and I got a bunch here. But the reason is because this also sold 3 million copies, and this also sold 3 million copies. I just forgot to show them. So I looked down and went, what the hell does Iron Maiden have to do with Tool? Other than I saw them together a couple of years ago. But I've never shown this album, and I cannot guarantee that it is an original. I have done my due diligence that it is, but I don't know that it is, and you just brought it up. But I don't know if it's an original, because there's bootlegs out there, but it's got all the right stuff. And there's actually like YouTube videos. Look for this, look for this, look for that. And it's got all the stuff. It was in a collection. It was a guy that was behind on his alimony payments. So and then true story, his ex-wife was pissed, so she started selling his albums, and it's possible that this is, but I can't guarantee it because there's some good fakes from what I understand. But this is the most valuable album, if it is in fact an original, in my collection. So I had never shown it. And again, it could be even as a bootleg, and it sounds good. So if it's a bootleg version, it's a really, really good version. But I've really tried to do my due diligence to prove for myself anyway that it's an original, but never reissued. They keep saying they're going to, and then they keep saying they're going to, and then they keep saying they're going to, and they still haven't. So I'm not sure, but there you go. I hadn't shown that one before, so that's my connection to Tool is the album I'd never shown before.
All right, Rob, you might kick me off your show now, because I think that album there makes me more jealous than that Richie Valens one.
That's all right. It's all good.
Again, though, his is original. This could be a bootleg. It's a really good bootleg if it is, but it could be. So, yeah.
I've got an original Del Shannon too, first pressing of his first album, just to sweeten the deal.
Yeah.
And you know what? I got them both for a steal. Like I paid next and like less than $20 for both of them. Sorry. All right. So I thought the Tool thing was going to be hard for me because Tool is not anything remotely close to what I would listen to. But my connection. Do either of you know where that album was recorded?
No.
Zoo.
No, the famous Sound City Studios in LA.
Okay.
Which hundreds of albums have come out of there. It's most famous for being where a lot of the Fleetwood Mac albums were recorded. And this one here, Buckingham Nicks, recorded in the same studio, albeit 30 years before, 25 years, whatever, 30 years before. So that's my connection, is Buckingham Nicks recorded in the same studio as that Tool album.
It's
Chris.
This may be the one and only time that we can say that we've said Stevie Nicks and Tool in the same sentence.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Chris Chris asks about documentaries, and I haven't watched anything, and I still haven't watched the Blue Rodeo, so don't give me shit, but I will. It's not for any other fact that I got to get my wife to watch with me.
For the record, Joe brought that up, not me.
That's
John.
right. That's me. That's on me. But where I was going is there is a really good documentary about that recording studio because Dave Grohl bought the board from it and has it in his house or has it somewhere, and it's good. It's a really good documentary.
There's an album that accompanies that.
There is. Yep, there is.
My wife's got it upstairs.
Perfect. There you go. So, Chris, when you watch this back later, there's a documentary for you to watch if you haven't watched it already.
Nice.
Okay, Darryl, last one. Geez, we're timing this
right.
perfect for being on 2 hours, gentlemen.
Pretty close, actually. Yeah.
All right. So this last one, when I was in grade 10, I won the shop award in my high school. And the way that they used to do awards, I don't know how they did it in your schools, if they just gave you like money or if they even did awards or whatever it was. But my school did this thing where they actually invited the parents one night, and only the award winners and their families could go to it. I ended up winning the shop award and getting a $25 gift certificate to this this video store that was in my hometown. And I bought this on CD, and it's Green Day's Dookie. So this year at Christmas, or this past year at Christmas time, this was my Christmas gift from my wife. So she knows me well. And before I continue with this discussion, this still has shrink on it, Rob. Do we want to? We want to do another?
Hold on, you have the floor, sir. Grip it and rip
That's
it.
Right.
All right, here we go. I'm ripping, and
It's
I am
very satisfying.
There you go. That's beautiful.
So we've got this, and I mean this is a flawless album. There's not one bad song on this album, and that includes the secret track All by Myself, which is absolutely fucking hilarious. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
And no, I mean just everything from, it took me so long. Like in high school, I was like, Dookie, what does that even mean? And then you look everywhere on this cover and it's just shit being thrown everywhere, right? I just thought it was some punk album, and they were just making a big joke out of it, right? But there we go.
You know what's funny?
So yeah, no, that's my story. My original copy, which I still have, not in a case, but in a binder. I still have my '94 press of that I got at that convenience store with my $25 gift certificate.
Nice. What's funny about that album, Joe, you know I'm a big Green Day fan. I love Green Day. I do not own a copy of Dookie.
Yeah.
Isn't that shocking?
Yeah, we got to get you one of those then.
Yeah, they're easy to find. My wife has one upstairs, but we're very firm about her records are her records and my records are my records, and there's no sharing. You can borrow something and listen to it if you return it, but we don't share records. So
we still have to. We got to do that. That's still an episode that we've talked about, right? Because we always bring up our wives' records or what they listen to or their collection.
Yes.
That's an episode for later.
I don't know, Joe, if you saw Sam's video earlier today. I watched it. He had his pickups. He got the 8 LP American Idiot Anniversary Edition, and he paid $80 for it.
Yep.
And I told him I was very, very jealous.
$10 an album. That's crazy.
Isn't that insane?
$10 a record. That's insane.
Sam, since you're tuning back in, don't watch the middle portion of this stream because we may have said some things about a band you like that you might not like.
It would be the second. I think it was the Herman's Hermits one, right?
Right.
I think that was the second one.
Yeah. So just don't bother rewatching this whole thing, Sam. Take our word for it. It wasn't worth watching the middle of it. So, all right, so now it's Joe's turn. I almost lost the order, but hey, I'm keeping it together tonight, guys.
You get it. Yeah, you're going to make it all the way because, like, unless you screw telling yourself to go, then you should be okay, right? So
exactly.
All right, so Darryl already showed it, but here's my copy, and what I'm going to do is, it's cool. Speaking of monkeys, look, there's a monkey right there. There's a whole bunch of monkeys throwing shit at each other on the cover of this album, but there are some other things, stupid light. Anyway, there are some other things going on in this album, and I will point them out. One of them being right there. that is the young lady from the cover of this album. So there it is on the cover of Dookie, and there is the reference that they chose to go with. So that's one. The one I don't have is this one. If I get in friggin' light, sorry guys. It's Patti Smythe. I went to look for it thinking I gotta have that album. Easter. I don't. I'm not sure why, but there's that. So what's next? There is also on the cover, there is, where is he? Got to go backwards. There's Elvis on the cover as well. It is a little bit chubbier Elvis, but there's Elvis to go with. Speaking of that album, are you doing a video about stuff you bought recently?
I
Kind of
will.
spoiler alert. Yeah, so, but there's Elvis on the cover.
That's going to be Sunday's video.
Sunday's video. Awesome. All right. Don't look at the two dogs having sex, but up here is my buddy Angus from AC/DC, and that happens to come from this album. It's the same pose. So there's that on the cover. And lastly, if you look, goddamn light, sorry. Where is it? Up here. The Zeppelin, and I was going to show Led Zeppelin, but I actually am going to show, you can see on the back, it says Bad Year, but the banner that it's towing is Eat at Chef Wong's. So Eat at Chef Wong's, if you look on the inside cover of the Ramones and Rocket to Russia, one of, I would imagine, Green Day's, well, I know for sure one of Green Day's favorites is on the inside cover. There is a dude getting a haircut, and his t-shirt says Eat at Chef Wong's. So that's their tribute to their heroes, the Ramones. So there you go. I don't have Easter, and there's lots of other stuff, but those are the musical, kind of the musical ones going on the cover of Dookie. I don't know why I don't have Easter, but I don't, by Patti Smythe.
The amount of Easter eggs, the amount of Easter eggs on that cover is just insane.
Yeah.
I didn't even know half of those. That's funny though, that Chef Wong's one though. That's pretty cool.
You guys are probably going to have to find a Ramones tie-in when it's my turn to pick the albums, I think. I actually made my list up already. I had my list ready. So, but there you go. That is my tie-ins to one of my favorite albums. 30? Yeah, 30 years old. That's insane. It's insane. Where'd my sleeve from Vinyl Storage Solutions go? I'll find it later.
I grabbed the wrong record. Hold on. Stay tuned, everyone.
Please hold.
Talk amongst yourselves.
But yeah, if nothing else, pick up this album and just check out all the stuff going on, right? Like there's lacrosse guys and pumpkins and stuff.
Okay, here we go. My connection to that, Dookie was produced by a guy named Rob Cavallo, who also produced Dizzy Up the Girl by the Goo Goo Dolls. One of my favorite 90s albums. And this was I would say, a grail of for me for a very long time. And they never pressed it on vinyl back in the 90s, but it was pressed in the 2000s, late aughts, I think, and impossible to find. But I finally was able to snag one after many, many years of looking. And then like 3 weeks after I got it, they announced they were repressing the record. I'm like, you sons of bitches.
Bastards.
So
Dizzy Up the Girl, that's the one with Iris on it, right?
Yeah, it's good. The hits on here, Iris, Slide, Broadway, Black Balloon. Yeah, there was like 5 singles off this record. Just an incredible album.
That's a great album. Great album.
Yeah. That's one of those like brings me back to high school kind of albums. So okay, well that was good, guys. That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
It was. It's always good. Yeah.
I think that went well, and we'll do what we always do this time of night. We'll go around the horn and talk about, whatever you want to talk about, anything on your channel you want to promote, anything. Speaking of promoting, anything you want to, any video that you just put out, anything, The floor is yours. Darryl, why don't you go first? You've been putting out a bunch of videos this week.
I don't think we have time for Darryl to talk about all of his videos.
I've been, I don't know. I had a bit of time on my hands recently. I'm not going to have as much time in the coming weeks because I was actually asked. So I'm actually qualified to be a principal in high school in Ontario. And in a couple of weeks, I'll be acting vice principal for a straight week at my school. So that'll be stressful for me because I've never done that. But so I had a little bit of time on my hands. Monday, I mentioned this at the top of the show. I took a little bit of a day off just to reset and relax, and I made some videos. So I've got about 4 or 5 of them out there that just were placed every couple of days or every day. So I did some of the finds that I got in my last trip to the radio show, although there's 2 other videos that are going to be coming out about that because I'm breaking it up into 2. I did Brian's difficult vinyl tag, which it's funny because he made in the comments, he was like, I thought this thing was dead. And I brought it back to life again. I tried to get creative with it because I couldn't answer all the questions in it. So I got creative. If you haven't seen it, check it out. This morning, a video dropped. I've been mentioning over and over again, I wanted to tie my board game collection into the record collection somehow. So I did one with music themed board games that I have in my collection. And I kind of did a run through on how to play them and stuff like that. But going forward, I want to try to do like one board game and tie it to some records that I have in my collection. So I have a board game series, I guess. It's a game called Ticket to Ride. It's a train themed game. So obviously I'll probably show the Beatles at some point with that, just tie it together. But then it's a train themed game. So, you know, a couple albums that might have train songs or
Grand Funk Railroad,
something like that.
Grand Funk Railroad.
Yeah, Grand Funk Railroad. So just something along those lines, right? That's kind of a new thing that I'm possibly going to do later on. And
or for Sam, Last Train to Clarksville by the Monkees. We love the Monkees, Sam.
Big Monkees fans.
Yep,
big
huge. So that's basically all I got going is just some video drops, a couple more. Oh, the video drop from this morning was apparently my 97th video that I've made.
Wow, that's good.
So the next two that are going to be coming out are going to be 2 vinyl finds from that radio show. So I know some people do this, you know, with their 100th video. I'm trying to come up with some kind of an idea for my 100th video. I'm not sure what it'll be though. So that'll be coming soon.
Good.
Cool. Do you have the game Stock Ticker?
Stock Ticker, I don't have it, but I remember my parents had it when I was a kid. That was a cool game.
Yeah. Me and my mom's husband played the hell out of that game. It's fun. It's good. I'm not sure if you can find it, but it's a good game. It just made me think of it. So.
Listen, Sam, it's far too late to talk about the Monkees now. We're wrapping this thing up, but I'll put it up there for people that want to watch listen to the Porpoise song. All kidding aside, Joe, you've been doing a lot of videos for the store and your own channel, and you have something you want people to know about for later this evening.
Yeah, the store, for those that partake in the On AV on a Vinyl store. Couple of the 12 things that don't belong here, and then recently I spelled spring, which I didn't take like an album with an S and an album with a P. I actually talked about different things that we do in the store. Install was the I, things like that. So it's long and it's interesting, I guess, kind of, if that's something that you're interested in, but it's probably more so for the local people. But anyway, and then we talked about Rob Walker, Let the Music Play A to Z, but it's got to be from the 2000s forward. I did that one. I did that a little bit ago. I've still got the one, which a few people have done, which is the 7 bands that changed my mind. I've got that. And then coming up in about an hour, actually an hour and a minute, because we're going to start right at 9 o'clock Central Time, which will be 11 Eastern and will be 8 Pacific, that I believe I've done the math on the time changes.
You'd be correct.
I'm calling it Racer Records what the hell am I calling it? I just came up with the
Track
title
test, wasn't it?
Track test. There you go. Track test, because of Racer and because there's tracks on an album. It's a game show. There will be 3 contestants, no prizes, but we're going to have a little bit of fun. You're going to be able to, join in the comment section and not necessarily play along because it's just the 3 contestants, but hopefully you find something good in it. And you'll want to be a contestant down the line. So that's coming up in an hour. So it'll be on my channel, which is Racer Records. Rob's shown my channel a bunch of times before. But yeah, thanks, John. I appreciate that you're going to be there. And a couple of awesome contestants that you might be familiar with. And then there's a young lady that's going to join us as well that is one shy of 900 subscribers. I don't know if she got a single one more today or not, but that's going to be part of what we're going to do is make sure that we get her to 900. So there you go. That's what's going on in Racer Records on a vinyl on AV, Joe's World.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
For me, I did an extra video this week. So Sunday's video was Rob Walker's A to Z post 2000. So I did that. That was a lot of fun. And then I dropped a video this morning because I had to get in under the wire for Keith Attack from Down Under because I refused to say Down Under because I sound like an idiot, as I pointed out in the video. But I wanted to get that video in for Keith under the wire. I had left it till absolutely the last minute and he was waiting for me to get it done. So I did that and it was a lot of fun. And I may have talked about why I love the soundtrack to Grease 2, which is one of the stupidest movies ever made. So you might want to check that out. And then the video coming up this weekend is going to be my adventures with MGK Boston when he was here in my hometown. Last weekend, we did a record show and we went to a concert. So I'm going to put that video together and that'll be up on Sunday. So
cool.
There we go. That's it.
Awesome. That's great.
Thank you, gentlemen. That was a lot of fun. I like this connections thing. We'll do it again in a few weeks, but we'll be back next week with a guest and a new topic to talk about. To all those watching in the comments, thank you so much for joining us. We love interacting with you guys and girls every Wednesday night. That's been a lot of fun. And for those folks that are going to watch it later, thanks for spending a bit of time with us. Come back to Racer Records channel in an hour to watch the game show. I know I'm going to be checking it out. So come watch it and show Joe some love. So it should be a fun thing. I think, I don't think anyone's ever done anything like it. So it should be a fun thing to see.
We'll see. Yeah. We'll see if I can pull it off. Anyway, we'll try.
All right. Well, everybody, we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody. And
take it easy.
A good evening. See you next week.
Thanks, everyone.